we plan ourselves properly, of course, we will be able to address the issue of road infrastructure so as to avoid the kind of bad roads we have, which necessitate these trailers at times to engage in maneuvers that would necessarily cause accident. You go on this road like Otazu said here. If we move from here to Kano, and you see the maneuvers that are these trailers, and you have some of them that are 60 meters, some of them are 40. With that length, for them to move and move fast becomes impossible under the conditions of our road. So, Mr. President, if we have proper planning, of course, we'll address road infrastructure and we can avoid the issue of this trailer accident. Then, Mr. President, most importantly, is the issue of our laws. The efficacy of those laws and then the sanctions that comes with it also is an issue. Because you have, like mentioned in the motion, the police, road safety, VIO. In the past, when we were younger, VIO were very, very effective. Those are vehicle maintenance officers. Mr. President, all of them have moved into towns. You can hardly see them along the highways. You see them in town harassing mostly women who they think are vulnerable. I've seen where, even today as I was coming, I see a VIO arresting a woman. They will not arrest somebody like Barana Allah with a big... So, Mr. President, we need to make this agency more effective and efficacious. And then the sanctions that go with it. If somebody drives recklessly on the road and there's no serious sanction applied to that person, of course, the next person says, well, I can do the same thing. And those of us who are always on the road, Mr. President, the speed with which these trailers move, not just the trailers. There's this vehicle, it's a bus-like. I don't know the name. That vehicle moves like a plane. And there's no, the road safety, you see them there, they just stop them, they go by the side of the car, and that's where it ends, and they continue. So, first and foremost, we must address our roads, then the efficiency and efficacy of our laws and the sanction that goes with it is very important. Mr. President, lastly, the recklessness of the drivers has been mentioned here before. When the Latin Americans have this kind of situation in the early 70s, of course somebody said here, they were able to address it in a manner that Balana Allah said here. You know that in the 70s, Latin America like Argentina, Brazil, and some of these countries had more serious problems, just what we're having here. The problem were very serious. They decided that they would first address the issue of road. They concessioned the road, and the roads were built in such a manner that allows these heavy vehicle drivers or long vehicle drivers to be able to rest along the road as they move. Here, you know, the roads first and foremost are so narrow. The shoulders are not there. So it is impracticable for even the trailers to park even when they want to rest. Because if they park because of lack of shoulders, they will block the entire road. So it is not just that they are reckless, but we also have to address the issue of recklessness. And this issue can be addressed only when our laws apply serious sanction against those who tend to be reckless on our roads. Elsewhere in other climes, a driver found to be reckless, you go to prison straight. The summary trial, you are not even allowed to go and defend yourself once it's determined that this driver was reckless. You have these people, they are under influence of all kinds of drugs. And there's no sanction, the police are on the road, road safety is on the road, VIO on the road, nothing happened. So it's a combination of factors. It's not just about trailer accident. If we must address this, we must address it holistically. Let's first and foremost look at our roads, look at the laws that addresses apply sanction to it, and then the recklessness of these drivers themselves. So, Mr. President, the motion is apt, but then it's not just about investigating why the accident happened. It is that let us look at the planning, the entire planning process of our country as it relates to our infrastructure, especially road. And then we'll be able to address, if we have good roads, I'm sure that this will be minimized. Let us do the practical things instead of saying, well, we'll build railroad. That is far-fetched. let us be practical. Provide money for road infrastructure, urge road safety, the police and VIO to be up to their responsibilities. And then, if they're up to their responsibilities, the trailer drivers themselves will not afford to be reckless, because heavy sanctions will be applied to any person who is reckless.
The issue of fatalities on a highway is a recurrent issue. We handled this extensively in the 8th Senate. And I remember, if my memory does not fail me, that the former chairman of the Senate Committee on Land Transport, our brother, Senator Tunde Gbenga Ashafa, brought this in at the commencement of the 8th Assembly. We brought it and we discussed it extensively, set committees to look into it. In 9th Assembly, you know, it has come back again because of the constants of the fatalities on the highways. And I want to address this issue from two perspectives, Mr. President. One is the issue of the proper and timely fund releases to contractors handling our federal highways. I belong to the Senate Committee on Transport. And Mr. President, we just returned from the first leg of our oversight in the Northwest. We moved from here, from Abuja, through Kaduna, down to Zaria, and then to Kano. We saw things for ourselves. And we met the contractors on site and asked a few questions, why they are not working. And we discovered that major part of their non-performance is untimely releases of funds. The roads that should be 6 lanes, 3 this side, 3 this side, is 2. And you have heavy traffic every day, many people dying. In fact, when we were in Kaduna, the governor of Kaduna, El-Rufai, told us about that in a day, they lose up to 47 persons in a month. You know, as it was as bad as that. So from there, we moved to the Southwest. The same issue, moving the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the Ogun Lagos way, where we have so many industries in place, nothing is working there. We have to the Badagry Expressway and all that. The whole issue is there. Then from Lagos to Bini to Onitsha, the same issue. This the Southeast. So we have issues. So in order to solve this problem, you know, the issue is that we have to widen the roads. And the contract has been awarded to these contractors, but we have not funded them. If you have to, if we fund them, if this Senate mounts pressure on the government to release funds to these contractors, we can widen the roads, and you have the road. Not that all the fatalities will end, no, because if you do the ones you have to do infrastructurally, you still have to handle the habits of the people who are driving on the highway. How better well-trained are they that are driving our vehicles in Nigeria? So that's another issue. So, but we have to look at that issue and see what we're going to do, especially now that the weather is good, you know, before the rains come. So we have to bear this in mind as a way of solving this issue. The second issue I want to bring is the issue of all the shipments that come into this country are all in Apapa. With the result that the 5 geopolitical zones, all trucks get down to Port Harcourt, get down to Apapa to pick their goods and services. That is an issue. In a country where we have Apapa, we have Warri Wharf, we have Port Harcourt, we have Calabar. You know, so the policy, we must address the policy that makes all the ships to prefer to go to Lagos instead of going to Warri, instead of going to Port Harcourt and Calabar. So if all of those, if these shipments are diverted and shared equitably to all those areas, Apapa will be safe. The trouble we have in Lagos will also be reduced, and even our roads are going to even at the Aros, we'll be less busy. And finally, Mr. President, the issue is that trucking is no longer working. We are behind the world in terms of transportation. What works is rail lines, inland depots, dry depots, where you put people who go to any part of the world and just get to Kaduna. You don't need to go to Lagos. Anybody who ship from Kaduna or Northwest should not be going to Lagos. The railway will connect that dry depot there. The people from Southeast who import from and choose either to go to Warri or to Apapa, they don't have to clear their goods there. Connect them with rail line to Onitsha. Then they put inland depot there. They will move down there and get the other parts of in Aba. You do the same thing. So these are the issues that are causing fatalities in the country, and we need to advise that. Mr. President, I'm begging that a round table again on transport is very important. We have done 3 already. Another area that will concern the attention of this 9th Assembly that is proactive is addressing the issue of round table on transport. If we don't do that, we'll continue coming back and repeating ourselves over and over again.